Majapahit Kingdom. Majapahit was an empire based in East Java, Indonesia, which was founded around 1293 to 1527 AD. This kingdom reached the peak of its glory as a major empire which controlled a large area in the archipelago during the reign of Hyam Wuruk, who reigned from 1350 to 1389. The Majapahit kingdom was the last Hindu-Buddhist kingdom to rule the archipelago and is considered the largest kingdom in Indonesian history. 2. According to the Negara Kertagama, its power extends from Java, Sumatra, the Malay Peninsula, Kalimantan, the Philippines, Sulu Islands, Manila, Saladung, Sulawesi, Papua, and others. 1. A brief history. Before the establishment of Majapahit, Singasari had been the most powerful kingdom in Java. This came to the attention of Kublai Khan, the ruler of the Yuan dynasty in China. He sent a messenger named Mengchi to Singasari who demanded tribute. Kartanagara, the last ruler of the Singasari kingdom, refused to pay the tribute and humiliated the envoy by mutilating his face and cutting off his ear. Kublai Khan was angry and then sent a great expedition to Java in 1293. In 1328, Jayanagara was killed by his healer, Tanka. His stepmother, Gayatri Rajapatni, was supposed to replace him, but Rajapatni chose to resign from the palace and become a nun. Rajapatni appointed his daughter Tribhuwana Wijayatunggadewi to be the queen of Majapahit. In 1336, Tribhuwana appointed Gajah Mada as Mahapati. At the time of his inauguration, Gajah Mada said the Palapa oath indicating his plan to expand Majapahit's power and establish an empire. During Tribhuwana's reign, the Majapahit kingdom grew to be bigger and more famous in the archipelago. Tribhuwana ruled in Majapahit until the death of his mother in 1350. He was succeeded by his son, Hyam Wuruk. 2. Government structure. Majapahit had a regular government structure and bureaucratic structure during the reign of Hyam Wuruk, and it seems that the structure and bureaucracy did not change much during its historical development. The king is considered the incarnation of a god in the world and he holds the highest political authority. Bureaucratic apparatus. The king was assisted by a number of bureaucratic officials in carrying out the government, with the sons and close relatives of the king in high positions. The king's orders are usually passed down to officials below him, including Rakryan Mahamantri Katrini, usually held by the sons of the king Rakryan Mantri Re Pakira Kiran, the council of ministers who carries out the government Dharmadhyaksa, religious law officials Dharma Upapati, religious officials in Rakryan Mantri Re Pakira Kiran. There is an important official, namely Rakryan Mapati or Pati Hamangkubumi. This official can be said to be the prime minister who together with the king can participate in carrying out government policies. In addition, there is also a kind of royal advisory council whose members are the king's relatives, called Batara Saptaprabhu. Out of area. Hyam Wuruk, also called Rajasanagara, ruled Majapahit from 1350 to 1389. During his time Majapahit reached its peak with the help of its Mahapati, Gajah Mada. Under the orders of Gajah Mada 1313–1364, Majapahit controlled more territory. According to Kakawin Nagarakretagama Pupa XIII 15, Majapahit's territory includes Sumatra, the Malay Peninsula, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, the islands of Nusa Tenggara, Maluku, Papua, Tumasik, Singapore, and parts of the Philippines archipelago. This source shows the widest limit as well as the peak of the glory of the Majapahit Empire. However, natural and economic boundaries indicate that these areas of power do not appear to be under the centralized rule of Majapahit, but are connected to each other by trade which may have been a monopoly by the king. Majapahit also had relations with Kampa, Cambodia, Siam, southern Burma, and Vietnam, and even sent ambassadors to China in 1377. Several years after Gajah Mada's death, Majapahit launched a naval attack to crush the rebellion in Palembang. Although the Majapahit rulers extended their power to various islands and occasionally attacked neighboring kingdoms, Majapahit's main concern seems to be gaining the largest share and controlling trade in the archipelago. It was at this time that Muslim traders and propagators of Islam began to enter this area. Four. Division of territory. In its formation, the Majapahit kingdom was a continuation of Singasari, consisting of certain areas in the eastern and central parts of Java. This area is ruled by an Upparaja called Paduka Batara who has the title Bray or Batara I. This title is the highest title of royal nobility. Usually this position is only for close relatives of the king. The job was to manage their empire, collect taxes, and send tribute to the center, and manage the defenses on the borders of the areas they ruled. The hierarchy in the classification of areas in the Majapahit kingdom is known as follows: Bhumi, kingdom, ruled by Raja Nagara, ruled by Raja governor or Natha, lord, or Bray, prince or noble, Wartik, managed by Wayasa, Kawu, managed by the Lura, Wanua, managed by Tani, Kabuyutan, small hamlets or sacred places. When Majapahit entered the era of the Thalassocracy Empire during the reign of Gajah Mada, several states abroad were also included in Majapahit's circle of influence. Five. Military. During the Majapahit era, there was the development, preservation, and dissemination of keris-making techniques. The technique of making keris is refined and the selection of materials is becoming more selective. Based on the book History of Yuan, soldiers in the early Majapahit era were dominated by light infantry. At the time of the Mongol invasion of Java, 1293, the Javanese army was described as temporarily mobilized soldiers from peasants and some noble soldiers. In addition to the keris, the technique of making and using a spear and a simple ship cannon was also developed, called a setbang. The record of Tome Perez in 1513 mentions that the army of Gustipati, vice-king of Batara Brawijaya, numbered 200,000 people, 2,000 of whom were horsemen and 4,000 were muskets. Duart Barbosa around 1514 said that the Javanese were very skilled in making artillery and were good artillery gunners. They made many 1-pound cannon, setbang or rentaka, long shotgun, spingard, arquebus, shiarpi, hand cannon, Greek fire, gun, large rifle or cannon, and other firearms or fireworks. Modern depictions of the Majapahit navy often depict outrigger ships, but in reality these ships date back to the 8th century, namely the Borobudur ship, which was used by the Sailendra dynasty. Research by Nugroho concluded that the ships used by Majapahit did not use outriggers, and that using the Borobudur carvings as the basis for the reconstruction of Majapahit ships was wrong. Six. The decline of the kingdom. After reaching its peak in the 14th century, Majapahit's power gradually weakened. After the death of Hayam Wuruk in 1389, Majapahit entered a period of decline due to the conflict over the throne. Hayam Wuruk's death and the conflict over the throne caused the Majapahit areas in northern Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula to become independent, where the Malay Peninsula became the territory of the Ayutthaya kingdom until later the Malacca Sultanate emerged, which was supported by the Ming dynasty. During the reign of Wikramodana, a series of Ming dynasty sea expeditions led by Admiral Cheng Ho, a Chinese Muslim general, arrived in Java several times between 1405 and 1433. Since 1430, Zhenghe's expeditions have created Chinese and Arab Muslim communities in several areas. Port cities on the north coast of Java, such as in Semarang, Demak, Tuban, and Ampel, so Islam began to have a foothold on the north coast of Java. Historical records from China, Portugal, Tome Perez, and Italy, Pigafetta, indicate that there had been a transfer of Majapahit power from the hands of Hindu rulers to Adipati Unis, ruler of the Demak Sultanate, between 1518 and 1521 AD. Demak ensured its position as a regional power and became the first Islamic empire to stand on Java. At that time, after the fall of Majapahit, the only remaining Hindu kingdoms in Java were the Blambangan Kingdom in the east, and the Sunda Kingdom, whose capital was Pajajaran in the west. Slowly Islam began to spread as the Hindu community retreated to the mountains and to Bali. Several pockets of the Tengger Hindu community still survive in the Tengger Mountains, the Bromo and Semeru areas. That's a brief history of the Majapahit Kingdom quoted from Wikipedia.org. Hope it's useful. Thank you.